They call it Bloodrock, a name that doesn't hide what waits for you out here. Years ago, ultra running legend Jeff Browning crossed this finish line and reportedly said it was the hardest 100 miles he'd ever run.
I signed up for the Bloodrock 100 for a simple, perhaps silly reason. The belt buckle looked awesome. So I'm going to take you through my Bloodrock adventure and get you prepared for yours, should you ever be crazy enough to give it a shot.
Don't force me out of bed in your society. Don't push me down the road you're playing down. Don't try to fix my head, it's just your anxiety. Don't hush me now, cause I just wanna shout.
It's time to check in for Bloodrock 100. We're going to treat it like a very nice and slow 100. I mean, have I ever done a fast 100? Not really. And honestly, I figured there was no way it was any harder than the Hellbender 100, which I had finished earlier in the year. I was wrong. So the race consists of two 51-ish mile laps through Oak Mountain State Park. By December, the trails at Oak Mountain become invisible under a year's worth of fallen leaves. David Tosh is the race director of the 100-mile distance, and he spends countless hours out there trying to get them cleared off. But with the amount of mileage he has to cover, the terrain, the wind blowing everything back onto the trail, I imagine it must feel like a losing battle. I added something new to my nutrition. I added Dum Dum Suckers because I felt like that was appropriate. So be ready for large sections of the trail to be basically invisible. And under those leaves, there are sharp rocks, roots, very uneven ground. At the halfway point, I had to take out a knife and cut a large chunk out of the side of my shoes because due to the fact that my foot was almost never landing flat, the side of my shoe kept bumping into the ball of my ankle. I thought it was only 100 miles. I am starting the second lap. That was a really tough night. I stopped and I took a nap. I just didn't think I could put myself through that again right away. But I feel much better now, I feel refreshed. I am honestly a little scared of doing all that again, but we really ought to do things that scare us. If you typically prefer a waist light like I do, make sure you bring a headlight with you. In December, the nights are really long, and these climbs are incredibly steep. So a waist light is not going to pick up the reflectors on the flags that they've placed on the trail. And speaking of the dark, with how technical it is, at nighttime you're going to be moving slow. So make sure you've got gloves, a warm hat, and a base layer in your bag that you can pull out if you need to. I personally put hot hands in all my drop bags, and I really appreciated them at night. The aid stations come about every 8 miles. Every single one of them had hot food. It's usually a tent, and the tent has a heat lamp in it or a fireplace to help you get warm again. And one of them even had a special visitor. Now, the year Jeff Browning said it was the hardest 100 miles he'd ever run, the race was actually broken up into 3 55K loops, which meant you got to go up the hardest climbs of the race 3 times. With the current configuration, you only go up those hardest climbs twice. For the record, twice is plenty. They had hoped to turn the course into a hard rock qualifier, but because none of the climbs are 2,000 or more sustained feet at once, hard rock wouldn't consider it. The train is going in the wrong direction. Otherwise, nah, I wouldn't hop on. That would be cheating, but it would be kind of fun though. So the Bloodrock 100 happens in Oak Mountain State Park in Alabama. This is the biggest state park in Alabama. The indigenous people that lived here were the Muskogee, also called the Creek, and their related tribes. They were, like many of the other indigenous people in this area, forcibly removed to the Indian Territory of Oklahoma back in in the 30s, 1830s. Didn't all happen at once. Don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but thousands of those people died on the trek there. I believe it was about 400 miles by water and 800 miles by land. Makes this silly little 100 seem like nothing. So I bring up the Muskogee mainly because every time I do one of these things, I have time where I'm thinking about who stepped here before me. What did they see when they were here? You know, how many feet have walked where I walked? Now, it might be kind of a silly thing to think about, but it is something that always comes to mind. I'm curious, does a video capture how freaking steep this is? And you might be asking, Micah, why are you an idiot and only using one hand to climb up this thing? Well, sacrificing so you folks can see how much fun you can have at Bloodrock 100. I think I can characterize this 100 as really standing out in that the trails are extremely technical, very, very punchy, like very steep. The website says 17,500 feet. I got, according to my COROS, 10,000 feet in the first loop. So I assume it's gonna end up being 20. My brother Adam is using a Garmin. He said he got 10,000. I think maybe it's a touch more than 17.5, but it is deceptively hard. If you love super technical trails, like watch out or your ankle's gonna get broken type of trails, this is the 100 for you. They've got a 50 mile, 50K and a 25K distance, but only 35 of us have a chance at that really sweet buckle. So when you think about it, there can't be that many of those buckles floating around, which is kind of cool. I feel like if I wasn't from the Southeast, I would have never heard of Bloodrock, and I would not have realized that such an awesome belt buckle exists. So please, if you've got a unique race near you that has a really sweet belt buckle, post it in the comments. I want to know. I'm willing to travel for something as awesome as this belt buckle.
Yay, Micah! Yay! I know you're like, oh, woo! Good job, hon. Did it. It's 38 hours, 18 minutes. Official.
Why do you do these stupid things?